Oh man, homies, let me tell you, what a day to really regain the full confidence back. Not just in being able to do it in the moment, because yesterday with the big snatch day, getting 3 plates over my head on overhead squat for the first time, that was more of a reassurance day. Just like, okay, I still got it in me. We can still try and do better. Today, so I'm telling you, I did not expect this week to go the way I wanted to, because I went too heavy on the accessory Olympic days the first couple weeks of the program, especially last week. And I just was like, okay, if I fail, we'll restart and do better next time. And today, this is the most consistent I've hit heavyweight again in a year. I'm going to keep beating the dead horse, man. This is the first actual program that's going the way I want it to in a year. Because just jumping into it, we ain't even gonna hold back. On the clean and jerk accessory, I initially was like, let me do something easy so that I don't have to think too much about it. I don't want to overdo it with how much I'm not sure where my body's at. But a lot of the times when you give yourself that leeway to do something easier, you end up actually overdoing it, because it allows you to kind of fiddle with the technique a little bit less and then just kind of use more strength than you might want to on a day you're trying to fully recover. So I thought, let's go the opposite way. Let's do a lift that I know is going to challenge my core, my stability, my technique, and all the good lockouts primarily, Because the whole idea of me going lighter on my Olympic accessory days in the upcoming program cycle is so that if it's feeling easy at the lighter weight, I need to make the complex harder. That's all it is. I need to make it I need it to get to a point where I don't feel the need to put on heavier weight, because it's so difficult to hold the technique first, because I'm trying to get to a top set where I know I can control it. I was explaining it to a buddy of mine today while I was at the gym, and he was like, oh, so you just go until the technique breaks. And I'm like, no, I go one set before that, because I don't want to end on a failed rep ever, So the moment I hit a weight and I put it over my head and I can actually control the technique and I can think about it without having to whip it with all my fucking might and scream my heart out to get it under the barbell and all that stuff, that's where I want to call it from now on. I don't want it to be a top set where I hit one weight pretty well and it's just good enough and I'm like, all right, well, that felt good, so let's just put on another 20. It's too much for a day that's supposed to be recovery, especially with the necessary consistency I need for squat and bench afterward, because I do Olympic lifts first every time to prepare my body for the static, more strength-built lifts, because if I did squat and bench first, I wouldn't be able to Olympic lift at the same level, And so I ended up doing a slow tempo to the knee, and then going into the second and third pull, I pick up the pace to really make sure I hound in that power position without much momentum that allows me to whip the bar. So I have to actually hold my back and my low back still. Got to hold the hips tight. Got to hold everything very consistently, because if I let it deviate even once, I'm going to catch it wrong. You'll see at on the 255. Again, it wasn't bad or anything, but I definitely caught it slightly forward on the clean. So that's what I really wanted to lock in today. And it's humbling, and it made me happy to see that I can get that, I can hit that less efficient lift and think, okay, I didn't fuck up. I just need to readjust to this one little thing and then bring it back better, And it was a weight that I knew was chilling. It wasn't a hard weight. I was like, okay, I got one more in me. And if I did 275. And so it's the slow tempo to the knee. Not as slow as I could hold it, but just at a very consistent slow tempo to isolate that second and third pull. And then in the split jerk, just make it a little bit harder, I decided to do a pause in the dip before driving it back through. It's basically a no momentum split jerk. And let me tell you, it is hard to essentially quarter squat into a full split jerk, because the way that you use momentum in the dip and drive is similar to bouncing out of a squat in the ass to grass position. You're going to have a lot more explosiveness and muscle activation by having tight hips and a tight low back with good form, bouncing out of the bottom as hard as you can, like I did on my squats today. But if you stop right before your ass to grass bounce position, you have to use all static muscle, and that's where people normally go to powerlifting. And so taking out that momentum made me work way harder to get that full on the toes extension before I dive underneath the bar. You know, and it's typically going to be a bit of a front foot dominant split jerk because of this, because it's just, when it's that heavy and you're trying to make sure that you get the technique as perfect as you can, you just have to dive under as fast as possible without letting the weight get away from you. You'll notice on a lot of the warm-ups, I couldn't really tell. It didn't feel like I was having an elbow bend. It definitely looks like I have an elbow bend. It might be more scapular and shoulder movement, making my elbows look like they're going lower and then readjusting back to the comfortable catch position. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you it was perfect either way. You know, it was definitely, I wasn't utilizing the full extension and then the hard elbow lockout that I needed to. So 275, I was like, okay, this is to really test where I'm at. Because I not only want to have perfect technique, I want to be able to think about the control I have over the weight the entire time. Because the days where I'm whipping as hard as I want and going as hard as crazy possible are meant to be the progressive overload days where it's not an accessory, it's the main lift. These lifts are meant to accessorize the big ones, so I shouldn't have to go that heavy to maintain and get my technique better. And 275 went, let me tell you, it was the one weight where I felt really, really good when it came to the effort I was putting in, but not only that, the elbows fully locked out, I pushed my shoulders through, not one thing deviated, and it felt very front foot dominant, but it didn't look like my front foot got cut on the split. You know, everything landed pretty balanced, so I cannot be upset whatsoever. Very happy with that. And again, it's that one top set where I can sit there and mentally say, okay, I'm ready to back squat now. You know, it wasn't a matter of just like, okay, now I got to relock everything back in. I'm about to die. I got to just kind of push through and give it my best. I don't care if my knees explode. I could actually sit there and be like, oh yeah, I'm going to destroy this. You know, you want to be able to maintain that confidence through both lifts. Kind of like when I say that you want to be able to have the same energy you had in today's workout when you come back in tomorrow, and that's when you know you have a good program. You want that between exercises as well. The squat and the clean and jerk are not the same by any means. And so I have to treat them as two fully different exercises that need a different set of energy. And so if I do clean and jerks first, I have to go a little bit easier when it comes to the intensity. You know, I can still give it that maximum effort, but I should not be pushing it to a hard grind state that needs more muscle than I would need on a squat. You know, I need that leftover energy for when I pick up the heaviest squat I can. And this is peak week, man. Squat's going up to 455 today. And I went from the barbell, and you know how I do all my warm-ups. I do a lot of warm-ups. I went from the barbell to 365 in maybe less than 10 minutes. It was so fast. I didn't break between one weight. That wasn't me trying to rush through it. I genuinely just felt that good. It was the first time in my whole program where I allowed my technique to be fully just technique-based. Oh, God, my girlfriend's taking out the cat shit. This is so disgraceful. She's pointing at other cats. Oh, God. Sorry. It's the first time in this whole, just this past year's worth of fucking plateau, man, that I'm finally at a point where I can say that I'm controlling the parts of the program that need to be accessorizing, that need to be lighter, that need to be maintaining so that I can get to that next point. And then really giving me my whole effort and all the muscle and all the whip and all the passion and scream out energy that I need on the ones that I choose to be that way. Because if I let every single lift be that way, I won't be able to lift at them all at the same rate, and eventually my body will explode again. And I can't be having that, man. I want my health to be the priority. I want the technique and the core to be a priority, and the strength will come after. You know, it doesn't matter if it takes a little bit longer. It's what needs to happen in order to actually get to that solid future that I want to build. And dude, I went from 405, 435 next. Yeah, 435, crushed them. You know, it was a little tough on the walkout on 435, but just as confident either way. Like, I came out of the squat extremely fast. There was no fluctuation. And this is the best 455 has ever looked at a program. The last time I programmed 455 in a program was right when my knee exploded a year ago. And it was the last time I've hit it since in a program. And this is the fastest, deepest, most consistent technique I've ever had in a program hitting 455 on back squat. And I'm so damn proud of that. I'm so proud. On the whippy bar too. That bar whips, man. It's tough. But I like what it does for my bottom squat position, because it transfers over really well to the Olympic catching positions, you know? So we're making some progress. We are still on the high rise. But the thing you got to really, really remind yourself is that your workouts are not supposed to be perfect every time. They're not supposed to go the way that you plan them. They aren't. You can try your best to give yourself the best opportunity to do the best that you can, but we're human. We have too many factors in our life. If all you did was eat, sleep, and go to the gym at the exact same times with the exact same foods every day, yeah, you could be able to do whatever the hell you want, as long as your mental's still there, and we're not robots, and sometimes it's not there. So there's too many factors to where your program is not going to it's not going to go the way that your program's written out most times. You can get close, and even if you hit everything, it's not going to be the way that you expected. And today was a day where we blew that out of the water. I couldn't believe it, especially how hard I went yesterday for all my snatch stuff. I thought I was going to be dead today. I had more than enough energy, and I fully believe I'm going to crush bench tomorrow, even though I missed it last week because of my knee tweak. It's just, I'm finally getting to the point where I can revitalize and reuse my energy in good, positive ways in the moment, even if it's at the very end of a program. I still rerouted everything after almost tweaking my knee, coming back and missing a workout that I didn't want to miss, taking more rest than I'm used to taking, and I still came back and crushed everything. That's what's so important. But it's important to remind yourself that when you have those days, like I did with my knee tweak, that's supposed to happen. It may not be this cycle, it may not be the next cycle, it might not be till a year from now, but at some point, you're going to get plateaued. You're going to get set back. But it is not what you go through that dictates how good of a lifter you can be. It's how you choose to come out and adapt to those injuries or those tweaks or those just minor setbacks even. Every single time your body kicks back at you or your mental kicks back at you, you have to say, what can I do to revitalize this right now? Not next cycle, not next training session. Right now in this moment, what is the smartest thing to do? You know, I had people asking me, like, why am I not just benching without using any leg drive? I'm like, first of all, it's, you know, for me mentally, it's not aligned with the program. And if I'm already scared of even standing on my knee, I don't want to do anything that requires any sort of extension of my knee, even if it's just sitting down on the bench. I don't know what happened. I don't know where my body's at. I need to take a day to allow it to actually recover and rest. But let's say I do the bench anyway. Mentally, the moment I feel a tweak that puts me at risk for injury, I'm locked out of the workout. At the most, I can do baby warm-ups, but more than that, I'm not doing shit. And again, I didn't want to even walk on my knee. Walking to the car scared me. You know, and so if you can't trust your body to do what it's programmed to do, you need to chill out. You have to adapt. You need to overcome that, but not in that moment. Because one of the worst things you can do is sit there and try to stretch it all night long and try to make it feel better when it just needs time, you know? So every time you get set back, don't take that as a sign that the program's fucked or that you ruined it or that the worst case scenario has happened and you just got to rebuild everything from the ground up. It's just a bad day. Most of the time, when you hit a wall and you're not hitting the weights you want to hit in your program or that you wrote in your program that you thought you would hit, that you didn't, most of the time, dude, it's just not your day. That's it. It's impressive if you can go through an entire program without having a single fuck up in any of your lifts and no misses. That's great. But I'm here to fucking tell you, man, it's hard to do that. You're always going to have days, whether it's because of outside factors or just stuff with your mental or physical that's happening on the daily. Something always comes up to where you're not going to expect it. You're going to have to adhere to it. It's not going to be to the level that you want it to be, but that's okay. Because if you give yourself the time that you need, not that you want, that you genuinely need to rest and recover from that setback and build off of it, the next time you come in, you'll be twice as better off than you were in the first place. Even if it doesn't get back on track perfectly like mine did, I'm very thankful for that. If this peak week was done and I couldn't do it, we're restarting the program, doing the lighter weights like I'm supposed to, and building it back up smarter. Because that's all I can do, you know? Who cares? Just restart. You have time. You have to tell yourself you have time. Because whatever your standard is right now, you can change it within a week, a month, one program cycle. It could be one session that changes your whole mental. And you have to take that to your heart, man. You got to commit to that. Because now I pushed through the knee tweak. I gave it the time it needed off. I took 2 days off. Got some good bike cardio in just to make sure it was okay. Did a barbell no weight deep stretch day. Good mobility. good stability. Everything felt great. So I'm like, I got to at least give it one chance. And the snatches went amazingly yesterday. And today, I feel it twice as good, which is very not normal compared to how I normally feel, which kind of just shows how inefficient my fatigue control has been. Because I normally feel pretty dead when I come in for squats. And then on bench, I have to go really easy on the Olympics and then go really, really hard on bench to even get it back up. And I'm just as confident in my bench tomorrow as I am in my squat today because I just feel good. I feel like I can actually utilize each part of my body to the extent that I want to in that moment. There's no hesitation. There's no lack of self-trust or degrading self-worth. I'm just doing the best I can and loving every single second of it. And that's what I love about this passion. Physically, holy shit, man. Easily. Oh, dude. I mean, again, the clean and jerks were great. It was just a matter of I made it so difficult that it felt way harder than normal, which is the point. So the clean and jerks still went great. Didn't deviate my technique. 275 is still heavy compared to, I'm only going to 315 on this program. 275 is still pretty fucking heavy for how difficult of a technique I did today. And the 455 squat, never been that confident. It was completely smooth and buttery. So, I mean, I got no reason not to give it a 9.8. Like, it was so good. It was so good. There was no deviation at all. No pain, no lack of anything. I just did what I came to do. I actually did the entire workout in just over an hour. I typically am in the gym for 2 to 3. I was just locked in, man. It's good to feel. It's nice to just stop yapping and just lock in some days, man. Mentally, oh, dude, we'll keep it right with it. Just, I think everything was lined up exactly the same today, 9.8 as well. You know, this is one of those rare days where everything is working fully symbiotically with each other. You know, everything's going at the exact rate that I want it to, at the way that I mentally can pour my passion into, as well as my physical keeping up with that, you know? So I couldn't be happier. I got to actually go see some great homies I haven't gotten to see in a bit tonight at dinner, and it was so good to catch up with them. It's always those fun little interactions where you can just jump right back into a relationship without having to really do this whole catch-up thing. You're just like, that's my guy right there, and you're just immediately back where you left off, you know? And that's what I love about the gym, man. You know, no matter how much the weights might not want to move or how much I fuck up or whatever, every time I walk back in, every time I lift a weight, I feel that comfortability, that confidence in what I want to try to do when it comes to my goals, my passions, just whatever, you know? I'm doing my best, and that's all that fucking matters. But I'm always going to sit here and brag as much as I want when I earn those new weights, because I really didn't expect it. I have such high hopes for this peak week now. This week's going to be a little weird. I'm traveling a lot this weekend for my graduation from college, so I will continue the peak week. I'm probably still going to have to take 2 rest days in between the middle of this week, which is fine. I'm going to be traveling a lot anyway, and I got to go to work tomorrow. But it'll be a little weird. I'm going to be at different gyms, but I'm getting to get to see all the old homies from Florida when I was a Florida man, and it'll be so fun. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for letting me yap. I will be back tomorrow for snatch accessory and heavy bench press, and we'll see if we can keep up this passion and keep up the energy. Let me know how the lifts and live's been going. I love you guys, and I'll see you later. Bye.